Welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy Show, a Baxter Professional Services production. Welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy Show, where we're experts in nursing and experts in business. I'm Tina Baxter, your host. The Nurse Shark Academy Show highlights nurse business owners and others in the healthcare field who promote entrepreneurship. We interview nurse leaders and encourage them to tell their story. Today's guest is Jen Crow, and today's episode is How One Nurse Beat Burnout Through Entrepreneurship. Come feel the sun at the Nurse Shark Academy 5-Day Nurse Entrepreneurship Challenge. Are you a nurse dreaming of something more? A career where you call the shots, follow your passion, and make a bigger impact? With our 5-Day Nurse Entrepreneurship Challenge, you can transform your skills into a thriving business. Learn how to find your niche, build a business plan, market your brand, and scale your business all in just 1 hour a day. It's time to take control of your future. Start your entrepreneurial journey today. You already care for others. Now it's time to care for your dreams. I did it, and so can you. Your future awaits. Don't let another day go by wondering what if. Take that first step toward the life and career you deserve. Come feel the sun and sign up at the nursesharkacademy.biz today. Hello and welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy Show. I'm Tina Baxter, your host. The Nurse Shark Academy Show highlights nurse business owners and others in the healthcare field who promote entrepreneurship. We interview nurse leaders and encourage them to tell their story. My mission is for you to own your seat at the table of nurse entrepreneurship, gaining the confidence, skills, and freedom to live your life on your own terms. You will dream big and expand your consciousness as an entrepreneur. Join us and support these wonderful nurse entrepreneurs and leaders. Today's guest is Jen Crow of Nurses for Nurses. Welcome to the show, Jen.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
So tell us a little bit about your background. And of course, we want to answer that very important question we always ask our guests: what made you become a nurse?
So I became a nurse 10 years ago, back when I had my son, and I decided that I needed a career that was going to align with my highest self. I wanted something that I could really grow and climb as high as I could and help people along the way. And so that's how I found nursing. I had a security guard at the job that I was working with. His wife was a nurse, and he always talked about how much freedom she had and how you could do anything with nursing. And so that really inspired me to start looking into it. And so you just start diving in, you go to get your FAFSA done and go to school. And 4 years later, you get a nurse out of it. And that's where I am, where I was 10 years ago when I graduated. And then my journey through nursing, I started off in a float pool, like rapid response team as a new grad. I did that for a few years. Then I moved down to the ER and worked ER trauma for several years. Kind of got burned out pretty good in that space. It's really heavy, and if you gotta check yourself as routinely so that you don't totally burn out. And when I looked inside myself, I was like, this is too much for me. And so I took a step back and got a position doing nurse recruiting, which was really great. It got me kind of away from the bedside a little bit, but it started to that's where my journey kind of pivoted to where I really enjoyed helping nurses, especially like new grad nurses get their new jobs, or nurses that wanted, they have a plan in place where they want to be, but they don't know how to get there. And so that was a really great position that I really love that job, helping nurses kind of like achieve their, whatever goals that they had in mind. And then sadly, the hospital that I worked with, they ended up reorganizing and did away with the nurse recruiter job. And so I ended up taking a position as a house supervisor, and I've been doing that ever since. And And then my path into entrepreneurship
Well,
started.
before we get there,
Oh, sorry,
before we get
sorry.
there, yeah, yeah. So, because I want our listeners to listen to some key elements of your story,
Yeah.
because you started out working somewhere, and a security officer had a spouse that was a nurse, and he sounded like he was a big champion for nursing.
He went,
And
yeah.
I think there's some things that we need to talk about, because you talked about the freedom that his wife enjoyed as a nurse. And
Hmm.
I don't think we talk about that as much as we should, about
Correct.
how you can move around in different areas. If you're in one specialty, you can change specialty. So you went from rapid response to ER. What was it like to make those transition and changes when you went from different departments and then off into recruiting and then became supervisor? Let's talk about those transitions that you experienced.
So, the first transition from like rapid response nurse to emergency room nurse was actually pretty easy, because I was always already doing the stabilization of the patient, and I was getting floated down because it was also a float pool too. So I was getting floated down into the ER to help with like hold patients that had been admitted, and then you just start kind of like by osmosis learning about the ER. And so, you kind of fall in love with it, that like turn and burn the patient and like get them, stabilized, get them upstairs, it's the next patient, and you get to see patients like across the spectrum. So that transition was pretty easy. And then the transition between the emergency room space and recruiting really took a it took a lot to get my like central nervous system to come out of that like heightened level of like critical care stabilization mode. And so it was a lot. And at first, it was really challenging because I was also working nights, so like night shift to like day shift 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. And then also the transition of having, because it was a salaried position and I could flex my hours, and I had no idea how to do that. And you kind of always felt like you weren't doing enough in as a salaried employee, and so you give so much of yourself, and I didn't realize how much of myself I was giving, but it was something that I really liked doing. When I finally got like into kind of the flow of it, because it also like it wasn't a position that was like very well developed. It was just like, okay, go recruit nurses, and there was no like structure. And so I helped kind of like had to like come up with my own like plan to like structure how I'm gonna like do this basically. And then the transition, when I transitioned from the recruitment space into the house supervisor space, that was really difficult because at the same time, the hospital that I worked at also, instead of keeping their float pool, they were reassigning all the nurses in the float pool off to different floors. And before I could transition out of my job, it was my responsibility to basically like reassign them or help them find new jobs within the hospital. And a lot of these nurses really, really loved their float pool job. And so that was really hard to put them, to have people that they don't really want to be doing that. They want to work in the job that they originally applied for and were offered, and having to like move out of a department that they really liked. So that was difficult. But then moving into the like more of a leadership position as a house supervisor, I've got to work with the nurses that I've recruited, the nurses that I've worked with down in the ER and in the rapid response, and this is all within the same like hospital. So I'm pretty well known in this hospital, and I feel like I'm a really great resource. So while some of the transitions are easy, some of them are a little bit more difficult. The journey itself and kind of getting to where I'm at right now has been really rewarding, and I really appreciate that part of it. I have a lot of great nurses that I work with, and I have a lot of nurses that come to me, and even now, like I still do some like kind of like rogue recruiting on the side. If I see a nurse that wants to get into a different type of position, I'll start looking and seeing what's out there for her and or him, and send them emails and kind of help get them into those positions.
Well, one of the things you mentioned was that when you became the recruiter, there wasn't a lot of structure with that, and you had to create your own sort of job out of this. And I've
Yeah.
had to do that twice myself. I became the first evening shift supervisor on the psychiatric unit, so there wasn't really a lot of guidelines of what the supervisor role would be because they've never had one. And then I
Mhm.
became the first nurse educator at an addictions hospital because they never had a nurse educator. So I had to create those roles. And so there's that entrepreneurial spirit that you
Yeah.
can bring to doing that inside an organization. And that's what I want people to hear, is that you can be entrepreneurial even on your job and your 9 to 5 working for someone else. And I think that probably gave you a little heads up when you were ready to start your business.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, having to build something from scratch within a professional corporate environment, it it's it's very there's a lot of details that go into it, and there's a lot more that goes into it than, because you have to be so transparent with what you're doing, and there's constant check-ins, and you have to have like plan after plan after plan. So yeah, that definitely helped me in the entrepreneurial world.
So then you kind of transition. I mean, you're still working as a house supervisor,
Mhm.
um, but then you started your own business, Nurses for Nurses. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what that is?
So um, basically, after COVID hit, and I think my story is pretty similar to a lot of nurses in the entrepreneurial world. After COVID, you just get so burned out. We all worked way too many shifts, gave too much of ourselves, and came to a space inside myself that was like, I need something that's for me, but it's still within nursing. And so I started researching different nurse businesses, or different things in nursing that you can do. And I was kind of blown away by the amount that's out there. There's nurses that are doing, I mean, there's nurses that do you can do anything you want as a nurse, and you can make a business out of it. And there's so many of us doing so many different things that's where this idea came from, where that it would be nice if there was a centralized directory of nurses that are in business, and a place for them to showcase their businesses and advertise, and have kind of a central hub where there's resources for you within your business. Or if you're not going to do a business per se, but you want to do something different and you just want to kind of see what else is out there, that's the directory that Nurses for Nurses is. That's what we're growing. And so there's 3 different components to my website, or the platform. And I've got right now I have the directory, which is out there now. So if you go to www.nursesfornurses.org, you can click around through the tabs, and there's just a ton of different categories and different resources for nurses, kind of all across the spectrum. We've got a section that's just in the entrepreneurial world. I've got legal resources. There's writing, like a writer space or an author space, and so much more. There's just a ton of stuff in that directory, and that's all open to the public to look around. And it's to help nurses just kind of get an idea of what else is out there. Or if you're needing to know like where your Nurse Practice Act is, I've got a directory of, like, you can go to the directory and put in your state, and it'll take you to whatever Nurse Practice Act your state is in, or is open in your state. So that's the directory part of it. And then in next week, I have a marketplace that's opening up, and that's for nurses that have products and services that they sell. They can sell that on the marketplace. So that'll open next week. And then in September, there's going to be a community side of Nurses for Nurses. And so it'll be its own social media, social networking platform, where you'll get, a password and a profile, and you can go in and have conversations in groups. There's a live feed, there's forums, it's a pretty dynamic platform that we're putting together. So that's what Nurses for Nurses is. It's just nurses supporting nurses in kind of whatever ways that we can, whether it's supporting their businesses, or helping them find a different position out there in a different space, or helping you with your legal resources, or anything really.
Well, I think that's great because there's a lot of nurse entrepreneurs, it and there are organizations out there like NNBA and
Mm-hmm.
all of there, but it's really great that we have options and other resources and things to go to. And so I think that's wonderful. And so I'm excited about the platform. And go ahead and give us that website address again.
It's www.nurses4nurses.org.
Okay, great, great, wonderful. And so I'm going to ask you, if you had advice for one budding entrepreneur, what would it be?
Um, Find your tribe, like find the people that support you. And a lot of the times it's not going to be your closest friends and relatives. It's going to be people that are in kind of the same space as you, or have um, experience in the space that you're trying to grow into. I found that LinkedIn is an excellent community of nurse entrepreneurs in there, and it's so positive and encouraging. So that's how I've found my tribe of people. I've got some really great people that I've connected with that we just want to help nurses grow. We want to get people so they're not we're not in like mental decline. We don't, we're not feeling like we're stuck in like at the bedside. And so there's a whole community of nurses out there that are here to support nurse entrepreneurs, and help them grow their businesses. So yeah, find your tribe. That's my biggest piece of advice.
I couldn't agree more. Finding that group of people that are going to be supportive of you and are
Mhm.
positive. And I can tell you from personal experience in business, when I was surrounded by more negative influences, it's just people who just didn't get it, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes your friends and your family, they don't understand what you're trying to do when you're trying to grow a business. And so finding that group of people that can support you and understand where you're going will be critical to you, and has been critical for me. And I've
Mhm.
been very blessed to be able to meet with some great people and learn about the different facets of business. Um, a lot of times we start businesses and we forget, oh, there's marketing piece and branding piece, and you do have to talk about your business, which is one of the reasons why I have this podcast, so nurses can do talk about their business.
Mhm.
I meet so many nurses that are afraid to even tell people what they are doing in the entrepreneurial space, and
Yeah.
we've got to practice and be better at that. So I'm encouraged. So I would say any of your nurses on your platform that own their businesses and they would like to be a guest on the show, please encourage them to join, and and reach out to me, because I'm always looking for interesting stories and great guests. And nurses are doing wonderful things now. I mean,
Yeah.
it's wonderful to see that. It's great to see that. Um, with the different types of uh, avenues that you can go. I mean, we've had all kinds of nurses on this show, and we've actually had nurses from other countries. And so I'm curious about that. Are you interested in opening up your platform to nurses in other areas besides the
Oh,
U.S.?
absolutely. Yeah, you don't. It's not specific to the United States. Anybody can come into the space and be a part of it. So yeah, we're definitely open to nurses internationally. I think it's really important to know what nursing is like in other countries, because that just gives you another avenue of like experience. How amazing would it be to go be a nurse over in the UK or in Europe, or go do medical missions, in Africa or Haiti. So and that's kind of the platform. That's what we're trying to grow with our directory. I've reached out to various types of medical missions, various types of anything you can think of in the nursing capacity, is I'm trying to get onto this website, so that way it's one space and you can go and you can click through and see all of these different types of things that you can do as a nurse. And then the other part of it is the advertising space. And so I do have two different membership levels. I've got just the basic membership. That's just if you want to just come and be a part of like the community and the groups. There's the normal basic member, and then there's the business membership, where if you're a business owner, you get to like advertise in the directory. And I've got like a really nice big advertising space for all of my nurse businesses.
Okay, that's great. And so, um, as a member, I'm assuming you'll have educational content and things on there for them as well, or blog posts or something like that. And
Yeah, we're growing. I'm growing that side of things as well. That's because we're still in like pre-launch. So I'm working with all the web development right now, and then trying to kind of grow the directory, and then the content will come later once I have a little bit more bandwidth to work through it.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. And so you said in September you're going to be launching the marketplace. Can you tell us a little bit more about what types of services you're hoping to offer through the marketplace?
The marketplace actually opens in at the end of, or sorry, next week. September's the social networking space.
Oh, okay.
But the marketplace, I mean, it's really anything. I've got friends that do like have like a crafting business on the side. I've got a friend that makes beautiful earrings. So anything from like earrings, gifts, to if you have educational courses, if you're an author and want to sell your books, anything that, if you're a nurse in business and you sell something, it can go on my marketplace. And the first part of the marketplace that opens next week is more geared towards nurses that have like they're selling on Etsy, or they already have kind of all of their like a shop listed somewhere else. So it's just kind of a directory of like where to find these like Etsy places, or whatever, if they have their website where they're selling their stuff. So that way they're not having to like go in and do another like shop somewhere else. So it's like a storefront, and it shows like what they offer, and then you click the link and it goes right to their site. And then further down the line, I'm hoping to have this launched in the middle of August, will be where you can actually, if you don't have an Etsy shop or a website and you just want to be able to sell, maybe make like a really great like hand soap or something, and you just want to sell that without having to, make your own website. You can just go in and have your own shop as well.
So kind of like Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
Akin to that. Okay, great. All right. And so I just kind of wanted our listeners to kind of be able to picture what they will see. And so that way they'll know how to anticipate what's happening in the next few months. And it should be all ready to go, I think, by the time your episode airs. So
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah. All right. So if our listeners wanted to reach out to you, how would they get a hold of you?
I think the best way, I mean, you can email me. I have and I'm pretty responsive on my emails. It's jen.crow at nursesfornurses.org. Or if you go to the website, I've got all my social media links along there. And that's another part that I'm starting to grow, is the social media following. I definitely need some help that way. So I have some nurses that I've reached out to kind of help grow that platform, because that's not my specialty at all.
It's hard to do it all, right? It's
It
hard to do
really,
it all.
really is.
You got to tackle one thing at a time.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for being an awesome guest on our show. This has been a great show. I'm excited. I'm like, do I have you? Are you part of my tribe on LinkedIn?
I definitely am. I definitely am part of the group page on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. So,
Yeah, we just launched our private group so on LinkedIn as
oh, okay.
well.
Okay, I'll
So
make sure
you
that I'm
can
a part.
it's same name, nursing enterprise development or something like that. I forget how what Jerry Lynn came up with. um,
That's good.
but yeah, so we have actually a thriving group on LinkedIn for those who are listening for nurses who want to join us, particularly right now for female nurses, because the goal is we're partnered with 1 million women link up. So we're trying to get 1 million women to link up on LinkedIn. And as one of the tribal leaders, my tribe is, of course, always going to be nurses. So eventually we'll open up to others on the other side, the gentlemen. But this is particularly because it's a partnership with them. We're focusing on linking up women and nurse business owners who want to co-market and co-promote. So
Oh, I love
this
that.
is a way to be a part of that. So I want to thank you for your time and for being here. Thank you to our listeners who are listening to us on through Podbean or Apple or Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Please leave us a comment and a like. We would greatly appreciate that. And rate us on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or Spotify, or wherever. And then if you're watching us on YouTube and you're watching our YouTube video, give us a comment. And also don't forget to hit that notification bell and subscribe so that you'll be notified of all of our videos and content that come out. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Thank you so much.
Attention nurses, are you ready to step into your power and transform your career? Introducing the 5-day Nurse Entrepreneurship Challenge, your fast track to building the business of your dreams. In just 1 hour a day, you'll learn how to find your niche, build a business plan, market like a pro, and launch your dream business with confidence. This challenge is for nurses who are ready to make a change, take action, and create a life of freedom and impact. That's December 30th, 2024 through January 3rd, 2025, 12 p.m. Eastern. Register at the nursesharkacademy.biz. Your dream business is waiting. Thank you for listening to the Nurse Shark Academy show wherever you get your podcasts or watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you'll know when all of our episodes come out. If you want further information, you can contact us on the nursesharkacademy.biz.